Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mafia Means Family podcast.
I'm Mafia Mom.
And I'm Mini Mafia. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing content.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Mafia Means Family podcast. It's been a good week for the Bills. How has your week been, Minnie?
My week has been great.
Yeah. What's been good about your week? Tell us about it. What's going on?
Well, a lot actually. We had our first close football game on Tuesday. We lost by 1 point.
It was close. It was a good game.
Yeah, it was 24-25.
Yeah, it was very, very close.
Yeah. And this week was Spear Week.
Yes. So what was today's theme?
Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday. And what did you wear for Throwback Thursday?
Well, Throwback Thursday is dress up as 1990s, early 2000s. I wore an Andre Reed jersey and backwards hat.
And baggy shorts. You looked great.
Yep.
It was a good look. All right. So what did you think of the Bills game last week?
It was overall great.
It was a great game, right?
Yeah.
What were your observations of it?
Well, we were running the ball well. We were passing it well. And we got a lot of people the first touchdown.
We did, yeah. It was a big week of firsts. I agree. I think the whole team played really well. I think offense, defense, special teams, everybody did their job. Offense seriously looked scary, like scariest offense I've seen with Josh Allen at this point. I had my doubts. I thought the ceiling for this style of offense was really high, but I thought the floor was also low. It's working right now, and it's scary how good these guys can be. I will say that I don't think we've really faced a lot of challenges offensively so far this year where we've needed that one guy to make the play, but that'll come. And I think there's guys on the team that can step up and make it. Shakir, Kincaid, hopefully eventually Coleman. So I'm feeling really, really good about it. And if Josh keeps playing at the level he's playing, I don't think there's no way to stop us. Josh is just playing on another level right now, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay, let's recap though. Last week, players of the game. You want to go first or second?
I will go first.
Okay. Offensive player of the game.
My offensive player of the game was Shakir.
It's a good choice. He led us in receiving.
Yep. He had 6 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown.
He did.
And we have not been high for yak yards.
You're right. And Shakir brings that.
Yeah, like if it's supposed to go for, let's say, like 4 or 5, he breaks it for like 10 to 15.
Yep.
If it's supposed to go for like 12, he breaks it for like another 10, 15 yards.
I agree. I think the two things that we've really been missing from the Bills receiving core over the years with Josh is a 50-50 guy and some yards after catch. And that it seems like now we kind of have both of those. Want to give I'll give my offensive player of the week. My offensive player of the week, and this is an easy one to pick, and it seems so obvious, but it's Josh. And it's not, Josh has put up numbers like that many times, and that's not what I'm talking about. Josh is playing on a completely different level. He's not putting the ball at risk. He's being really, really smart with it. And he's seeing the field very, very clearly in a way that I haven't really seen him see it before. So I'm super impressed with Josh. And again, I know it's an easy one to pick, but I'm going to go with Josh there.
I have something to say.
Okay.
We do have our first viewer in the chat. My friend's mom said, "Hey fam, and go Bills."
Yes. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get some more people in here soon and get some good chat going, but please share your opinions as we go.
Yep.
Defensive player of the game from last week. Who do you got?
My defensive player of the game was Hamlin. He got his first pick.
He did.
His first NFL pick.
He did, and you had to be happy for him. It was a big moment, and you could tell how psyched the rest of the team was for him. It was a very big deal. So congrats to Hamlin for sure. After what he's been through, he definitely deserved it.
Definitely.
My defensive player of the game is going to be Benford, and I just feel like he's starting to really come into his own. there was a play that he made, I think it was in the first quarter last week, where there was a pass on the outside of the numbers to the right side. And it was the type of play that before I think he would have just played it safe, made the tackle after the guy made the catch. And instead, he tried to jump the route and he broke up the pass. And that's the kind of aggression I wanted to see from him. I thought if you're going to be a 6th-round draft pick who beats out a number 1 draft pick, then you got to show some instincts. And I think he's starting to really come into his own. I think he's also starting to trust the guys around him to take those chances and know that it's okay that, Hamlin or Rapp are going to be there if he gets beat, it's okay. And it's worth taking that risk. Maybe Rasul Douglas is rubbing off on him a little bit because Rasul plays that style. So it's really good to see. I'm liking what I see from Benford. He's also been big in holding the edges and not letting guys outside him in the run game, which I like to see. He's been a pretty sure tackler, even though tackling maybe the one thing that we still need some work on. All right, so you gave your defensive and offensive. Now, last week's predictions. So,
I want you to go first.
All right. Well, first of all, our hot takes, we both got them right. So, my hot take was that Keon Coleman would get his first touchdown as a Bill. I was a little worried because he was not in the game for much of it, which people were even asking, did something go wrong? Was he benched? And they're like, no, it's just game plan specific. We're just trying to put him in good positions, Comes in for 2 plays, and on the second play, he catches a dime from Josh Allen. Josh Allen sidearm just whips that ball 40 yards down the field. It was a beautiful pass right into Keon Coleman's arms, hit him in stride. Keon Coleman turned upfield. 5 yards later, he's in the end zone. Really, really good to see him get going. What was your hot take from last week?
My hot take was Shakir and Kincaid would both get in the end zone, and they did.
They did. You're 100% right. And Jessica is pointing out here that you want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, so she said, I have to say, PJ was definitely on nail with some of his predictions last week on Coleman and Cook.
Yeah, you're 100% right there, Jessica. And not only that, but I don't know if I've ever seen a prediction this close for a Josh Allen stat line. So last week, I wasn't too far off. I said 250 for Josh. He had 263. I said 3 touchdowns. He had 4. I said 0 interceptions. PJ, on the other hand,
I'm going.
PJ said, well, I would start here. So you said he'd have how many yards rushing?
50 yards rushing.
You were 6 off. Unbelievable. Now,
44.
You said he was going to have 4 total touchdowns. You said 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. You were wrong about the ground one. Fair.
But he did have 4 total.
He did have 4 total. What did you say Josh Allen's passing yards were going to be last week?
I said they were going to be 264.
1 yard off.
They were 263.
And 6. So in total, he was 7 yards off of Josh Allen's total, and he split it up. So that was crazy and impressive. I tip my hat to you, kid. That was awesome. I love to see it. So I agree with Jessica. He was very, very close on his predictions for last week. And it was a good week. So, all right. One thing I wanted to add, apparently McDermott commented on Coleman being late to practices, and maybe that had something to do with why he sat. So the kid will learn. He's young. He's a rookie. It is what it is. But we need him out there. So I'm hoping he doesn't make that mistake again.
Also, Miss Jessica said, wow, amazing job, PJ.
Yes. It really was, PJ. I give it up to you. Great job. That was impressive. All right, now we're going to move on. We're going to move past last week because, like the Bills, we can't spend too long on celebrating it. It was a great win, and look, we look like the most unstoppable team in the NFL right now, but we have been here before the last few years. It's week 4. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They can be champs in September all they want. It doesn't mean anything in January and February. So this is great. We're off to a good start. Let's keep it rolling, but I'm not going to start talking about the future until we get done what we need to get done later in the season. So we're going to move on to Factor Flag.
Yay.
Right? All right. PJ's favorite segment every week. And in the chat, please feel free to play along with us. How does Factor Flag work, Minnie?
So for all of our new viewers out here, Factor Flag is a trivia game. Mafia Mom will say a statement, and I will have to determine if it is a fact, which I will say fact, or a flag. And I will wave the flag.
Very good. All right. So, Factor Flag question number 1. And again, please feel free to play along in the chat.
Beth B said, "Evening, Mama and Minnie."
Hey, Beth. Good to see you today.
Buenos noches.
Enjoyed our chat last week and glad that you caught the show afterwards. I'm sorry we had to record. We have kind of a clever idea of maybe getting you on with one of your kids. So do me a favor if you can and email me. My email address is mommy, MOMMY, the number 2, 1985 @gmail.com. So email me and I'll give you my idea and we'll see if we can make it work. So we'll put it in the chat too. All right. First question for Factor Flag. So the Ravens have played 3 games so far this season, right? They're 1 and 2.
Yep.
2 out of the 3 teams who face the Ravens have seen their tight end group, so not an individual tight end, the tight end group, put up at least 100 yards. The only team that didn't was the Chiefs with Travis Kelce.
So the Ravens have faced 3 teams, and each team but one, the Ravens have
tight ends have given up 100. The tight ends have gotten at least 100 yards.
Okay.
So that would be the Raiders and the Cowboys, and the Chiefs did not. So the whole thing is a Factor Flag. What do you think?
Who even is the Raiders tight end?
And Beth here saying we need to pray to the football gods to stay healthy. Yep. I hear you offensively. I really do. But we have not had good luck defensively in injuries, and we're still balling out. So, I don't think there's been some years where it feels like, oh, we've been really fortunate with injuries. I'm not sure this year has been one of them defensively for sure. But look, I'll pray to the football gods for any luck the Bills can get. Injury luck, ref luck, anything. I'll take it. So I'm with you there. All right, go ahead.
Who is the Raiders tight end?
Nope, not giving you extra stats. What do you think? Factor Flag.
Who's the Raiders QB?
Oh my God, who is the Raiders QB this year? Now you got me second guessing myself.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, I think I don't think so. Raiders. I cannot think of who it is. It's he's Raiders QB. Who's the starting QB for the Raiders? Gardner Minshew. Goodness, I could not think of that.
That's a flag.
So you think it's a flag?
Yeah.
What part of it do you think is wrong? I'm just curious. And in the chat, please feel free to guess.
Gardner Minshew isn't really that type of he's more hand the ball off, let the running back do the work. He's not really a long pass through the air type of QB.
Okay.
Like Josh.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think that is a flag.
Okay. Just for the record, Gardner Minshew has been above the average quarterback this season in the NFL, who is really low. Like the average passing yards per game are 160 or 180, something like that. It's down. Above. It's down a lot over the last 10 years. It's the lowest it's been since the 90s. Gardner Minshew has thrown for 214, 276, and 257. However, this is a fact. So it is. So both the Cowboys tight ends as well as the Raiders tight ends were able to go over 100 yards. The Chiefs did not. However, in the end, they didn't need it. For those of you who don't know, and I didn't use this as a factor flag because it's been out there forever. They've been talking about it all over the place this week. But the Ravens have the number 1 rush defense and the last in the NFL pass defense. So this is really going to be a game through the air, I think, big time. They really are. They do a great job stopping the run and setting the edge, and they're very physical. So we need to make sure that anybody who's carrying the ball, whether it's a receiver, Josh, the running backs, 2 arms on that ball and protected at all times. They love to punch out and create fumbles. But their defense has really struggled against the pass, especially in the middle of the field, which we'll get to a little bit more when we get to my players to watch. But question number 2, you ready?
Yep. Okay. So from 0-1.
You're 0-1 today. And I think you were 3-3 coming into this week. So this is a big week for you. Yep, you were 3-3. So Lamar Jackson has never passed for more than 150 yards against the Bills in a regular season game. He's played us 3 times. Never passed for more than 150 yards in a regular season game against the Bills.
I don't even remember it. Well, his first year, didn't he face us?
In 2018?
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe 2018, 2019, and then 2 years ago.
Well, he was a more running QB then. So
150 isn't much, but it's your call. I'm just saying.
I want to say that one is a fact.
You're going to say that one is a fact, okay? Any guesses in the chat? No, not yet. All right. will go ahead and answer. So
It's
that
my
is a
bad.
fact.
Oh, it is.
Lamar Jackson has only thrown for over 150 yards against us in the playoff game, which he lost, and threw a pick six, his first career pick six to Teron Johnson, who returned it 100+ yards for a touchdown. All right, so you're 1-1 so far. All right, last
So
question.
far,
You
4
ready?
and 4.
You ready? This
Yep.
is the tiebreaker going into next week. Josh has never started a season until this year, obviously, with 3 straight games without a pick. Never in his career has he had 3 straight games
Definitely
without a
not last
pick.
year. He threw 3 picks then.
Sorry, Beth. It was the last one was Lamar Jackson had never passed for more than 150 yards in the regular season against the Bills. That was a fact. He had never gone over 150 yards except for in the postseason game. Go Bills, comedian Mo Brown. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
I'm gonna wait. So what was the question?
So it was Josh has never started a season up until this season, obviously, where he has gone 3 straight games to start a season without a pick.
Like
Is that a fact
like
or
the first,
Yep.
second, and third game
Yep. So Beth thinks it's a fact.
that he's never started?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that's also a fact.
And Beth's instincts were right, and you were right to follow her.
Thank
That was
you,
a
Beth.
fact. So you're now what? 5 and 4. 5 and 4 on the year. All right, good job. So there's factor flag. Let's move on to our players to watch.
I want you to
So
go first.
you want me to go first? Okay. I kind of tipped this off in the last segment, but my players to watch are the tight ends. So Kincaid and Knox. I really think the middle of the field is where we're going to do a lot of damage between the numbers, hitting those deep seam passes and those crossing routes. I think the Ravens linebackers, they're both new linebackers from last year. They're new linebackers, so maybe they play 3. And their DBs, I think, are going to struggle to control the everybody eats offense. And I think the more physical guys on our team, which is Kincaid and Knox, I think they're really going to benefit from it. So I expect the tight ends to have a big day. Who's your offensive player to watch?
My offensive player to watch is Coleman.
Okay. What do you expect to see out of him this week?
I'm expecting at least 50 yards.
Okay.
And I'm going to say 5 receptions for at least 50 yards.
Okay. So that'd be about what he had week 1. I'd like to see that out of him again.
I don't think
Hopefully he's
score
showing
a
up to practice
touchdown
on time.
because he just scored a touchdown last
Fair
game.
enough.
I don't know.
But are they big catches he's making? Because that's what
Yeah.
really matters. Are they
Yeah.
big moments where he's making these plays?
Like, I think there's going to be a 4th and 3. They send him on a streak route, and he gets a moss.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'd love to see Coleman get going. I think that's a good call. Defense, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I think despite how well our defense has played, this is one player that I think everybody kind of expected to make some splash plays this year. And I know it's only 3 weeks. I'm not hating on him. But I haven't seen the big splash yet, although he did have a really great man-to-man coverage last week on Gabe Davis, where I think Gabe Davis has caught that ball a lot. It wasn't a great pass from Trevor. I get that. Rasul Douglas. I think Rasul Douglas has a big game this week. I think he's going to show up and make some real splash plays that will make a difference in the game. You want to read that?
Yes. From Beth B. I feel like Baltimore will cover our run game since we've been using it so frequently with our success. Our receivers this week will have a bigger game,
in my opinion. I would agree. And I think the key to this game, because I think we can definitely outscore Baltimore, it's going to be, can the defense step up? Look, that 2-headed monster of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the backfield. And Derrick Henry, to his credit, because I thought he was washed. I thought he was done. He looks like old Derrick Henry, and that's a scary combination back there. So the last few times we faced Lamar Jackson, we've done a good job of those read options where he can either hand the ball off or keep it and take off. We've done a great job controlling them. It's all about discipline and staying home and not biting on the fakes. But the defense is going to be big this week. And I think that leads right into who your player to watch is for the defense.
Yep. My defensive player to watch is Greg Rousseau.
I think that's a good choice.
Also, another
real
comment
quick
from Beth B. Coleman, Kincaid, Samuel, and Holland, I think, will be big.
I'd love to see it. And I think we're kind of on the same wavelength here, that it's that middle of the field. And I think yards after catch can be a big help in this too, because I don't think the Baltimore Ravens are just going to forget to cover deep against Josh Allen. So you're going to have to make that play after you catch the ball and pick up those extra yards with good blocking downfield and good field awareness. So I'm with you there. So why are you watching Groot this week? What are you expecting to see?
For me, he has not had a big game in a while. I don't really think he's had a
week
really
one. He had
big
week one. He had like 3 QB pressures, 3 sacks, I think, week one. So he's been getting in there, but he hasn't had the stats to back it up. Yes.
Yeah. So I think he gets at least 1 sack, at least 3 pressures, at maybe a fumble recovery.
Okay.
And overall, I think he's gonna have 3 solo tackles and 5 together tackles.
Any tackles for a loss? Other than the sacks, obviously.
At least 1 tackle.
At least 1 tackle for a loss. Okay. I'd love to see that. I think Groot has real ambitions to be the defensive player of the year. And if he wants it, he's going to have to get going here. He's been playing well so far, and I want to see him keep that motor up. I will say that sure tackling and, like I said, discipline and staying home in your lanes is going to be a big deal this week. I think if our defensive line can continue to do what it has, and Max Crosby so you guys remember that the Jamarcus Ingram got 2 picks on Tua, right? 1 he returned for a touchdown. Guy who wasn't even supposed to be starting this year. He did not win Defensive Player of the Week because Max Crosby won Defensive Player of the Week. Max Crosby was going up against the Ravens offensive line that week. He exposed their tackles, and they have problems out there. So Greg Rousseau, Von Miller, AJ Epinesa, if Smoot is back and not on such a low snap count, those are the guys I expect to make a difference in this game. But you cannot get greedy and go for that sack at the expense of your team. Hold the edges and don't let Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson run wild outside the numbers. You cannot let them get to that corner. I will say, to back up what you're saying too, Groot is one of the fastest DNs in the league, and I think his speed will do us good for closing down those edges, especially when Lamar Jackson decides to keep the ball. You want to read Beth's opinion here on the people to watch?
She said Oliver, Greg, and Bond. Also, I'm seeing another pick from our cornerbacks or safeties too.
I love it. I love it. Again, we're on the same wavelength, Beth. It's amazing. When we get to my hot take, you'll see that. Exactly. If you can shut down the Ravens running game, the Ravens are done. Like, that's it. Likely is good. He doesn't scare me to beat us. If you can hold Derrick Henry, I think the last time we played them, we held him to like 19 yards, not the Ravens, but last time we played Derrick Henry, like 19 yards on 8 carries. It was absurd. I agree. Great minds. And Lamar Jackson, we seem to have really figured out the equation to how to keep him from killing you on the outside. They're going to get yards. Don't get me wrong. If we can just make them not kill us, like, don't let them control the clock and control the pace of the game, and we can keep them from keeping up with us, they're going to start to feel pressure to pass instead of run. And once that pressure gets on, I think we have a huge advantage. So I am with you there. Okay. So Groot, Douglas, Coleman, Kincaid. Those are our players to watch. We have Best from the chat. We'll see what happens, and we'll see who was right, if any of us. Hopefully they all have massive games, and we can all take a bow. All right, on to the Josh Allen stat line, mister. I know Josh Allen so well. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, passing yards are down, lowest they've been in like 30 years right now in the league to start out the season. And I think what that is that teams are starting to play everybody like they've been playing Allen and Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes and those guys. Everybody's playing this 2 deep shell look, which makes it very difficult to get big chunk plays through the air. That's why you've seen the Bills transition so much under Joe Brady to a run game and short passing yards. You go back and you watch the first quarter of the Jacksonville game or the first couple drives, every pass was like a dump it off. Like, there were nothing stretching the field, really. It was all like little swing passes, and which, look, I know those look simple and they're not. If you watch the motions that are happening and the misdirections that are happening, those are far more complicated than you think. But Joe Brady is doing an amazing job designing these plays, and he's really in his bag offensively. Like, he may be the most, I know it hasn't been long, and I know that Dable had spots where he looked really, really great. But right now, he may be the best offensive coordinator that Josh has ever had. And the way that him and Josh work together and it's unbelievable. Like, it just makes the Bills look more and more unstoppable unless we stop ourselves. So it's really impressive. But anyway, I think Josh is going to break 300 yards this week in the air. I think that it has to be on Josh's arm because we're not going to get these yards rushing. So although when I say the Josh is rushing yards, it's going to defeat that a little bit. But I think 310 yards through the air. I think 3 touchdowns through the air. I think he will add another 60 yards on the ground. I think most of these will come on 2 or 3 big pickups where the Ravens are forced to play man-to-man defense. Everybody turns their back to Josh, and he takes off 15, 20 yards down the field. I think they're going to be those kinds of runs. It's not like he's going to run 10 times. They're just going to be bigger chunk plays when he does decide to take off. I also think he's going to add a touchdown on the ground. So that's 4 total TDs. Unfortunately, I do think Josh throws his first pick this week. And I'll knock on wood. I don't want it to happen, but he's not going to go the whole season. And I think the Ravens defense may be able to bait him into a bad throw. So I'm thinking 1 pick. What's your Josh stat line?
My Josh Allen stat line has a little add-on to it.
Okay.
I would say. So I'm going to say 280 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 46 yards on the ground, 1 rushing touchdown, 5 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and this is the little add-on. I think he's going to hurdle somebody this week.
Okay. He's kind of overdue, right? It's been a couple games. He hasn't really had a real hurdle this year. Like,
Yeah,
he had
yes.
that. No, that was like a helicopter hurdle. That wasn't like a Josh hurdle where he literally just jumps over a human being. Like, it was like leaning forward. It was just a little different. I don't know. And it was going into the end zone, but it was a so-so hurdle. 5 total touchdowns, man. I'm telling you, if this guy does not win MVP this year, like,
5 total Josh touchdowns.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's just absurd.
I think we're gonna have another 2 touchdowns by running backs.
Wow. But that doesn't add up to, just so you know, though.
I know.
That's way too many touchdowns.
But, like, who knows?
Okay.
It could happen.
It could happen. Fair enough. It could happen.
Doesn't equate with my score, but it could happen.
One of them might be right? All right. So if you have a Josh Allen stat line that you want to share, please share it in the chat. We'd love to see. And then we'll give you a shout out next week if you're right.
Yep.
All right. So on to the hot takes segment.
You go first.
Me first? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I like it in second.
My hot take for this week, and I hinted at this earlier, is I think that Douglas is involved in a turnover. And Beth was also mentioning she thinks we get another turnover this week. Either an interception, forced fumble, fumble recovery. I think Douglas is going to make a splash play this week. I think you're going to see him really show up in a big way this week. So Douglas, that's my hot take. Douglas for a turnover. Is it though, from Beth B? I'm not sure what that was responding to. Sorry, Beth. I kind of got lost in that. So is it though? And Beth likes the prediction. It goes along with her prediction. So like she said earlier, great minds. I love it.
Great minds think alike.
What is your hot take for this week?
My hot take
Mama read my mind. We do that a lot.
Yeah. My hot take is, it's a little non-ordinary for a hot take.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is Josh's biggest statistical game of the regular season.
All right.
Well, like, of the first 10 weeks of the regular season. Not
Okay.
the whole regular season, but most of the regular season.
Okay.
I think at, like, the 14th game, like, somewhere, like, around there.
Yeah.
He's got, like, a really big game because, like, it's the end of the season and he needs to lock in for the end.
Okay. I want to get back to Josh in just a moment here. Beth just saying that she'd like to see it be Elam. I would like to see it be Elam. I'm kind of part of it's playing the odds. But I also think Rasul Douglas is just too good a player to go too long without a splash play. But I like Elam. And the problem is now I'm really liking the way Benford's playing. So there's just not a lot of room for Elam on the field. But I would be very, very happy for him. And he's gotten 2 picks and both of them in big moments. So it's very possible for Elam to get another one. To say you think Josh is going to have his biggest statistical game of the first half of the season, basically, against a team that is not only supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, but is desperate because they're 1-2 right now, which is not how they saw their season starting. I think that's a very hot take. Like, I think, especially for it not to be like Miami, who we play again before week 10, I think that's a hot take. So I'll definitely give you credit, although we won't be able to give you credit for this one until like week 10. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
But I like it still. All right. If we have any more hot takes, we'll throw them up there from the chat. And if you're watching this afterwards and you have hot takes, please leave a comment so that
Please
again
do.
we can shout out that you were right and be impressed with your knowledge of Bills football. All right, score predictions.
You go first.
Final segment here. And again, if you have any score predictions, please put it in the chat or comment it down below. 17-0, comedian Mo Brown. I like the shutout. That would be nice. I think if we only scored 17, I might be a little disappointed, but they're gonna like the Baltimore defense. I know they're dead last in pass defense right now, but they are legit and like they're well coached. I could see it. Like this offense can't keep up this pace all year, so I could see it. I'd be really psyched if we shut them out, though. That would be awesome. All right, my score prediction for this game is a little bit higher than comedian Mo Brown's. My score prediction is Bills 30, Ravens 24. So I see it being a one possession game. I see it being close, but Bills being in control for most of the game. Maybe they're up 30-21, and then the Ravens kick a field goal. Like, I don't see it being like, I feel like I'm going to throw up because this game is so crazy. But I do see it being I need to watch until the last couple minutes because it is close. So my prediction, Bills win. Mic drop. I love it, Beth. That's it. Just Bills win. There it is.
I love it.
I'm hoping we're giving you credit next week for getting that one right.
Les.
PJ, what's your score prediction?
My score prediction is, by the way, in the Ravens' house.
Mm-hmm.
We're away. 38-16. Bills.
That's a big win on the road, man. That's big. And these Chiefs, man, they keep squeaking by. And like, if those of you who have seen the show before, I really do not sit here and blame the refs. I do when I'm watching the game. Don't get me wrong, like every good fan. But I don't after the fact because I don't really care what the refs do. You still need to be good enough to win. But man, the Chiefs have been gifted some second chances in the last 2 weeks because of ref calls, and it's really frustrating. We have Mafia Sports Report predicting 34-17. So that's not bad, not far off from PJ's, a little bit farther than mine. Look, you guys are feeling real confident against this Ravens team. I wish I had this confidence of 2-score wins. Like, I think the Bills fan of me is just so scarred from years of being disappointed. But I love it. I love the confidence. I'm hoping that that's how it is. All right. Is there anything else you would like to add today, Minnie?
No.
No? All right. Well, yes, Sunday Night Football. By the way, I think I saw that Josh is 6-1 on Sunday Night Football. So that's a good record to have. Monday nights, not so great. Sunday nights, he's done very, very well. Thursdays, he's undefeated. So
wasn't the Jags game on Monday night?
Yep. I did not mention how bad they were.
What, 13?
47-10, I think it was. Pretty sure it was 47-10. Yeah, we blew them out. Beth is saying here it's going to be a tougher game. I agree. I just think the Ravens are just a better team than what we faced so far this year. There's people who would argue that the Dolphins with Tua are better than the Ravens. I disagree. Like, the Dolphins are really good against bad teams and don't show up against good teams. So Beth B saying here, Baltimore is hungry. We need to keep their kitchen closed for business, and ours needs to cook. Mm-hmm. I love it. I don't know if you guys saw, there's 2 signs in the audience, in the stands, that I absolutely loved. One of them was everybody eats when James cooks. Very creative. I love that. And the other one was right behind the end zone, and I think it was this little kid, and he had a sign that said, they dip their wings in ranch in Jacksonville, and it was just a hysterical sign. So props to whoever made those signs. Very creative. I love it. The Elvis guy is the one who had everybody eats when James cooks. It was on the back of his guitar. So very, very cool. If you go back and watch the game, you can see those signs. All right, so nothing to add here?
No.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and anybody who caught it afterwards or just came by to show their support. We really do appreciate it. Hopefully next week we can come live again. If not, we will record. I got to double check some scheduling things. But hopefully, no matter when we're coming back, we are coming back to talk about another Bills victory and 4-0 to start the year. So thank you guys so much for being a part of the show tonight and sharing your predictions and your opinions and your insights. We really like having these conversations with you.
Yeah,
And
definitely. Thank you.
until next week, from our family to yours,
Go Bills!